It's the planet's ultimate game.
It's Carvajal's cross. Rodrigo! Oh, extraordinary! They prayed for miracles, and miracles arrived! Real Madrid, the team of dreams!
Xhaka's corner shot. A game of the Arsenal bench. This is the lead.
Would the tilted? Guess who's never went away?
It's 2-1. A phenomenon.
What's happening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Final Third. It's me, Sam, aka FIFA Brit, and I am joined by Mr. Brad Thomas. Brad, there was a lot going on in the world of soccer, in the world of football this week, and I think we can summarize it nicely by saying it's a rough week to be a Madrid fan. I think that really sums it up nicely, you know? I figured we start right off the bat and just really, sorry to the Madrid fans listening at home, but getting absolutely mollywopped in your own stadium 4-0 by Barcelona in the Clásico, followed by Vini getting snubbed for the Ballon d'Or when everyone had assumed he was going to be the winner, right at the death, and Rodri comes in and wins. That's got to be tough. And I sympathize with you on that. That being said, it is really funny, and I'm enjoying it immensely. Outside of that, betting-wise, it was an okay week. I think the weekend was fun. The midweek stuff has been not brilliant. Yeah, not brilliant. There've been a lot of weird games recently. I was just chatting on Twitter with our former co-host, Mr. Betting the Pitch, and he agreed. The games have been really weird, especially this week. I don't know why. We've got MLS playoffs. It's been low scoring, and all the midweek games, it's just La Liga and Serie A. So, at the end of the day, are we really surprised that those leagues are being frustrating? Probably not.
No.
But enough about that. How was your week, Brad?
The weekend was amazing. I felt like I was walking on sunshine. Ooh, I did lose the two inter bets that I talked about. I will be honest. I didn't know Juventus was going to score 4 goals. To be fair, that was so funny. We came into that and we were just like, this game is going to be low scoring, under 2.5. It's worth swallowing the juice at like -145 or something, and Inter should get the win at home. And then, what the fuck was that game? That was absurd. And the comeback. They came back multiple times.
Right.
And then the Liverpool +1 was an easy parlay leg. So I was excited about that. But the midweek was wild, bro. Like, Udinese plays against Venezia. Draw no bet is -110. You're like, that's a layup every time. They go up 2-0. You're chilling. Red card. That was a weird one.
They keep doing that.
They love doing it. They find a way. I have to do the math, but they find a way to either have a red card or have someone get a red card on the other side. And every match they play, it feels like I was like doing my research for, I believe it was when they played Lazio. They played Lazio. They got a red card in that game. It's like there's always a red card in their matches. What else was another weird one? There was another really weird one. It was a cup match, but all cup matches are really weird. Yeah. Oh, no, the weird one was Tottenham versus Crystal Palace.
Yes.
At the weekend.
That was fun, though. As an Arsenal fan, that was fun.
They got bullied.
Yeah, totally outclassed. And you know what? It made me really happy. That's Palace's first win of the season, by the way. Let's not, we should really acknowledge the fact that, we were hyping them up. But to be fair, a lot of people were hyping them up. And I think everyone just kind of didn't really understand how important Elise was to that Crystal Palace side. And it's taken them until, how many games have we played now? 7, 8 games? And that's how long it's taken them to get their first win in the entire league. But it was against Spurs, so we can enjoy that.
Yeah, against Spurs, so you're happy about that. It was just so funny, too, because I noticed this from that game. Like, before they weren't pressing as high. Now they're pressing really, really high. And I think it's because they're like, we're going to go for broke. Like, what's the most we could do? That's what we can do, right? Yeah, go for broke. So,
they got pressed and completely suffocated. It was, I loved it. Made me really happy. But that was fun. They've got an interesting game this weekend as well, which I'm quite looking forward to talking about. But that's mostly because every Wolves game is exciting at this point.
Yeah, it's every Wolves game has been phenomenal. Like
they finally nuked our boy Ait-Nouri. To take a single shot is like minus 380, but his shot on target is still plus money, but it's like plus 130. Not as exciting as the plus 350 or so that we got the other weekend, which cashed in unbelievable fashion in the last minute. What a comeback that was by Wolves. That was incredibly enjoyable to watch as well.
Yeah, that was oh my God. Wolves have just been so much fun.
Yeah, just in general, their games are entertaining because they love to attack. Because, I mean, to be fair, any team, I have a weird love for any team that plays in a like 3-4-2-1 kind of formation. Wolves do it, Palace do it, obviously Leverkusen do it very well. It's just it's an incredibly fascinating tactical setup that I really enjoy to watch, because typically it just means that most of their games are incredibly just like balls to the wall entertaining, because you've got that brilliant offensive setup, but you can get caught on the break so easily. So it's really enjoyable. You know who else plays that way? Atalanta plays that way as well with the 3-4-2-1, and it's just really, really enjoyable to watch. You know, it's just kind of like structure be damned, run it up the wing. It usually leads to lots of back and forth games, and you know that's typically what we see with, well, less so Atalanta more recently. Two seasons ago, they were like a wagon for both teams to score over 2.5. But now Palace are just not very good at scoring. But
no, they're good defensively.
They're good defensively, yeah. Palace is sort of an enigma right now because they play in that formation, but they're very sort of solid, but they're also struggling to convert chances, which is weird because you would think, well, it's not that weird because they lost Elise, but you'd think Eza, Mateta, and Nketiah with Kamada in the midfield would be able to create something. One would hope. And then I think Leverkusen is probably one of the best examples of just ball to the wall offense. We will score more than we concede, but we will concede.
Yeah, I like that though, right? Like
it's fun.
I prefer that because I'm like, oh, just freaking duke it out. Let me just sit back here and have a ton of fun, you know?
Yeah, that's why. I mean, like it's so funny to me because people will chat shit to me about how Arsenal play, but it's not even if Arsenal play badly, it's Arsenal do their job well, and that typically doesn't lead to many props actually hitting. And they're just like they'll get mad at me because Saka didn't take any shots in the first half, but it's like, yeah, he has an assist and we're up 2-0. Yeah. So, like, I'm sorry that Saka didn't shoot the ball, but he's still playing well, and Arsenal are doing exactly, you know, Arsenal are never a team that just like rack up shots, you know. That's not really how we play. We play for control, structure, possession, you know, very methodical chance creation. And, you know, you kind of just have to understand that that's how some teams play, and they're not as fun to bet props on. Doesn't make them a bad team, you know. I feel like a lot of people in general just get confused between a team being bad and not cashing their bets. And it's just like, just be honest and say that your bet didn't hit. That's fine, you know. Just say that. You can be upset about that, but just say that. Don't say Arsenal suck. Just say, my bet didn't hit and I'm upset about it.
A lot of times, like, people, and I get guilty of this as well, will bet on a team, and it's more of trying to bet the outcome versus bet the value, right? Like, oh, is both teams going to score? I think both teams are going to score in this game, and you bet it, right? But it's not, is there value on betting both teams to score? And I get guilty of doing that a lot. And then when both teams to score doesn't come in, you're pissed because you paid minus 130, minus 140 for it. And you're like, these teams suck. Both teams should have scored. And as a bettor, I'm trying to get better at that. Like, I'll give you an example of one situation where I almost got caught. Como versus, who are they playing? Lazio, I guess. You know, will both teams score in that game? You know, probably. We're recording this ahead of time. But is there value on taking a minus 130 both teams to score? Or is there value on taking Lazio team total or Lazio money line? Right? Like, those are the different outcomes those are different kinds of thought processes. And if I bet both teams score and Como don't score, I'm going to say Como suck. No, I probably shouldn't have taken a minus 130 in that game. Yeah,
that's fair. Very fair. Sometimes you got to just, you know, it's almost like the odds matter in gambling, one might say.
Yeah, right?
One might say that. But, yeah. Well, outside of the whole Madrid fiasco and the Ballon d'Or, I kept typing out. I was tweeting about the Ballon d'Or so much when the ceremony was on, and for the longest time, my phone just kept autocorrecting it to Ballon d'Or, like The Simpsons. Do. So I was just like, yeah, I think that sums it up nicely. I think, but I had to keep changing it. Now, finally, my phone realizes I'm trying to type Ballon d'Or, which is nice.
So one of my buddies, he texted me. He just got into soccer this year.
Oh, nice.
You actually like this. I asked him what team he picked. He's Arsenal fan.
Yes, let's go. Another one to the cause.
So he texted me and was like, he was like, "What's the big deal about the Ballon d'Or? I don't understand why everyone's so pissed off." And he's doing it from like the most neutral lens possible.
Right.
I thought it was pretty funny, and so I tried to explain it to him. It was pretty good. Like I liked the drama. Like this was really fun. It made like very, very fun.
I know. I mean, and to be fair, a lot of people shit on Fab, but at the end of the day, he's just reporting news. But I do wish for a world where we didn't know so much ahead of time. But that being said, I guess that all sort of plays into it. Just would have been brilliant if everyone assumed Vini was going to win this, I think.
Yeah.
And it would have been, imagine how brilliant it would have been if everyone from Madrid had rocked up and everyone's expecting Vini, and then Rodri wins the Ballon d'Or. That would have been pure cinema. And we kind of got robbed of that because the news breaks earlier that day that Madrid have caught wind of the fact that they're not winning and they're not even going to the ceremony. So,
yep.
like such really a bummer. I just wish we didn't know. I wish we didn't know. Yeah. Also that, it's so funny to me because the amount of times I see Madrid fans try and draw a line between calling themselves the biggest club in the world and then also portraying themselves as this weird underdog that has a beef with UEFA. Pick one, pick a lane. You can't do both. And it's just like, because it's just like, if you think UEFA is really like hates you that much for like trying to create the Super League, then I don't know. Stop bragging about your 15 now Champions Leagues that you've won. It's called the UEFA Champions League.
Yeah.
So for someone who claims to have beef with UEFA, for a club that thinks UEFA's out to get them and rigged the Ballon d'Or so that Rodri would win just as a punishment, for someone that doesn't like UEFA, they seem to brag about their achievements in UEFA an awful lot. So that's
all of a sudden now UEFA's corrupt against them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, okay, either you are this like quote unquote underdog that, everyone had written off, or you are Real Madrid, the biggest club in the world. Yep. Pick a lane. That being said, that's my beef with Madrid fans because they have been, to be fair, I'll cut them some slack. It's been a rough week for them. So I'm sure they're going through all sorts of emotions, getting beaten by Barca in the Clasico 4-0. Obviously, no one's going to enjoy that, apart from Barca fans and everyone that hates Madrid. But then, like you said, the fact that they didn't even turn up to the ceremony, the club, that's bad. That is a terrible look. And look, I'm all for standing up to corruption, but I don't think this is corrupt. I genuinely think Rodri won this Ballon d'Or. And to even insinuate that it had anything to do with UEFA is ridiculous.
Super ridiculous.
So crazy. That being said, we have no idea why Madrid didn't turn up. Maybe it was just because they didn't think Vini was going to win and said, screw that. That's still embarrassing. But I tweeted about this as well. There are so many Madrid news pages that just tweet out the most ridiculous shit trying to get Madrid fans to interact with, it's like Arsenal. I guarantee you, outside of Arsenal, tweeting about Madrid is probably one of the easiest things you could do to get interactions.
Yep.
Because you tweet about Arsenal, anything bad about Arsenal, or anything, typically anything bad about Arsenal, you will get all the people that hate Arsenal who pile in and be like, ha 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 ha, Saka sucks, he has nothing on Palmer and Foden, blah, 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 blah. And then you get, of course, all the Arsenal fans piling in and being like, no, that's not true, stop lying, blah, 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 blah. So you automatically just create a fight. You could do the exact same thing with Madrid fans. So maybe we're just predictable because I am fully aware of the fact that this is a phenomenon that occurs, and yet I continually pile in myself. So I'm aware of the facts, but it's still enjoyable to get stuck in every now and then.
It's actually really fun.
Yeah. Got to pick your battles, though. Got to pick your battles. That being said, Ethan Nwaneri has more goals this season than Foden, so I'm just sprinkling that out there.
Wait, I thought that was a cup match.
Yeah, you're right.
Now too?
It was a cup. It was a cup match. Well, no, he has 3 now. Yeah, he had because he got 2 in the first cup match and 1 in the last cup match.
Wow.
That's my new star boy right there. Obviously, Saka is still performing. Gorgeous goal against Liverpool. But keep an eye out for Nwaneri. I'm not saying that right. Nwaneri. That's how we say it.
Say it correctly. No.
Ethan Nwaneri. That's the new and up and coming star boy, and he's only 17. And then if you really want a little preview of the future, keep an eye out for Max Dowman, who's 14 years old and plays with the Arsenal under-17s. So he's already playing 3 years above where he should be. And I think he just scored for England under-17s the other day. Baller. Keep an eye out for him. I was clocked onto Nwaneri. I am rushing that, but you understand who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I've been talking about him for like at least a year or 2 now, and a little sneak preview about the Arsenal talent to come. Max Dowman, remember the name.
All right. We're going to have to replay this clip back and be like,
yes.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Keep an eye out for that. But let's talk about the upcoming weekend action. I think we've rehashed Madrid struggles and all the other random beef that we have with people on Twitter. Let's move into the Premier League. We've got quite a few interesting games in the Prem this weekend. Yeah. I didn't really love the EPL slate last week. I do really like this one. I have like 6 or 7 games that I think are worth talking about. Even if it's only for a little bit, some of them just have really interesting lines and some of them are just worth talking about. So we'll start with the early morning kickoff, which thank God, because of the time difference, when I say early morning, it is now 8:30 on the Eastern Coast and not 7:30 because Europe has had its clocks changed. They have already gone back, which means the time difference between New York and London is now 4 hours instead of 5. So it's an 8:30 kickoff in the morning, and that's much better than 7:30 in my books. But of course, it is Newcastle against Arsenal. Newcastle are at home. Obviously, St. James's Park is historically a fairly formidable place to play. That being said, Newcastle are not playing that well right now. And Arsenal, even though they have not looked their best, and again, I've been saying this shouldn't come as a shock to people by now. When Odegaard is not in the team, we do not create chances as well as we should. That being said, it's been brilliant for Saka. You know, it's made Saka look really good, which I appreciate. And I'm interested to see how they play together. I also heard a rumor that Odegaard could be back in time for this game. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe he comes off the bench. But I'm just going to assume that he's not playing. The same way that I assumed Saka was not going to play against Liverpool. He ended up playing and was probably the difference maker. You know, that game ended up being bigger. Yeah, that game was 2-2, and I'll take the push on my Tino bet. I was taking that Tino bet at those odds any day. But if Saka doesn't play, that's a Liverpool win easily.
Yeah, I agree.
But so Saka, as far as I'm aware, is fit and healthy. He just played against Liverpool, did very well, obviously, and should be fine for this Newcastle game. But with Arsenal, honestly, who knows? That being said, our defense is looking pretty leaky. Timber just played 45 minutes in the League Cup, so I'm hoping he's fit enough to start and play good minutes in this game. Calafiori will not be. He's out, and luckily, thank God, we have Saliba back. And I also don't think Gabriel's injury is that serious, so fingers crossed we actually have Gabriel back as well. So in theory, we have Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, and Ben White at right back. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed we have a decent defense. Otherwise, it's party at right back again.
Are you gonna bet that game?
Well, Arsenal money line is -105, and that is so tempting. I mean, that's almost. I think we had better odds to beat Liverpool at one point.
Yeah,
like that's. I don't know. I mean, I don't like using the word trap, but it feels like a trap. But also, you'll never get odds on Arsenal like that, and Newcastle aren't good. So I feel like you really kind of have to, as an Arsenal fan, I feel like I've got to put my money where my mouth is and say, yeah, we can rock up and beat this Newcastle team. That being said, it feels like a draw. It feels like a really stupid, frustrating draw.
I think it's probably gonna be a draw. I mean, but like if you think from value, you kind of want to go Arsenal, right? Like -105. Botman's gonna be out for Newcastle. Okay, this is actually my thoughts on this. If we get no Gordon, no Isak, and Botman out, I feel like you got to take Arsenal.
That's fair. But as far as I'm aware, Gordon might not play.
Gordon might not play.
I'm pretty sure Isak is going to play. I mean,
really? He trained? I didn't see. I didn't check.
He just scored against Chelsea in the League Cup.
Wow, I forgot about that.
They started. Who did they play? They had Gordon, but Gordon came off. So Gordon just played midweek. So I don't think it's unreasonable to assume that he's going to be in the mix as well. They also played Joe Willock up front, and also this is what's so frustrating about the fact that New York doesn't have League Cup is Joe Willock, who's naturally a centre mid, was playing on the wing, and he took 3 shots. And may I say, he took 3 shots in the first half. So 1. Fuck you, FanDuel, for removing my favorite market. And 2, the fact that I couldn't even bet on these games, like that was it's so clearly a smash spot because I love the chaos of the League Cup. You always get weird shit like this, and I can't do anything about it in New York. And it's not that easy to just hop on the train and go to Jersey. Like I could, but it's still an inconvenience, and also it had been a shit week, so I didn't feel like making the effort. And then of course everything happens just the way that I thought it would. But Arsenal should be able to win this game.
Yeah.
Really.
But I have 0 bets in that. Oh, no. This is what I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
A bet I do like, though, in that game is Saka score or assist.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest.
Like
if we're scoring, that's how we're going to score.
Yeah, it's like -120.
It's +115 on FanDuel.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, +115, Saka to score or assist.
I'm taking a stab on that at that price.
Right? His assist is 280.
We get someone tripped in it. Look, Newcastle are clumsy, right? A trip inside the box, right? Like that's one way to avenue. He snipes one, that's another avenue, or he gets an assist. I don't even know where you find score or assist on FanDuel. Is it under assist? Oh, there it is.
It is, but you just scroll down. It'll be there.
Trossard has lower odds than Saka.
I know, I don't get that because I love Trossard, but he's not a good starter for us. He's much better off the bench.
I'm gonna put a little half unit on that.
I like that. I like that a lot. But yeah, we will see. If Odegaard is somehow back, I would love that. If not, just trust Saka. He should get the job done. A couple of games on Saturday that I think are exciting games, and I don't necessarily have angles. I'm just saying I think these games are fun. Forest against West Ham and Wolves against Crystal Palace. Forest, I need to point out, are playing really well. They are 5th in the table, which is ridiculous. Oh, no, they've dropped down. They were 5th. They were 5th I think they were 5th on Friday after they played, but then, of course, everyone else caught up. They're now down to 7th. But still, 4 wins, 4 draws, and a singular loss is really, really good. And,
That's insane.
And they haven't played only scrubs here. Like, they beat Liverpool. Everyone forgets that's Liverpool's singular loss on the season is against Forest. They drew to Chelsea, and Chelsea were at home. And then outside of that, they've played a lot of mid-table, lower... they beat Leicester, they beat Palace. They played Wolves, Southampton. So they've had some easy fixtures in there. They haven't played the big guns, no Arsenal, no City, etc. But... they're playing very well. Chris Wood is in the form of his life. And if you guys haven't caught onto the train, I'm not sure what his odds are going to look like. I might have to have a little sneaky peek right now. But Elliot Anderson has been loving this new role as the attacking midfield. The problem is that once Morgan Gibbs-White comes back, which he could be back this weekend, I think that role is going to change for Anderson, sadly. But I've had a really good couple of weeks just laddering his shots because I think he's now taken back-to-back games with 5 shots. And him to take 5 shots last week against Leicester was like plus 2,000. And if you followed me on Twitter, which if you're not, it's at FIFA Brit. Go and do that right now. But you would have seen last week, I had a dual ladder with him and Buonanotte on Leicester. And, we came so close to just nailing the shit out of that. They both I got the 4-4, which was like plus, what was that? Like plus 4,000 or something like that. But Elliot got the 5, and then Facundo Bonanotte had 15 minutes or so to get one more shot down 3-1, and that would have made, 2.8K, and I'd have been so happy if that hit. I had the cash out there too for like $1,000, and I was just like, oh, it's right there. It was really tempting, but, I don't regret writing it out. It was a good game situation, and this man was shooting from anywhere at that point.
Anywhere. So, dude, one of his shots was like, 5 yards from the halfway line.
Yeah, I know. I loved it. It's a lot of fun. That being said,
as well, so
yeah, those odds I think probably won't be as good this time around. But if Morgan Gibbs-White is still out, and you can get Anderson, if you can get Anderson 2 shots at anywhere between like minus 130 or minus 140 in that region, I got it for minus 120, but that was a nice price on DraftKings. That was fairly out of line with where the rest of the market was at. Even if his line shifts to plus money around at a 2.5 line, it's probably worth half a unit, and then a little sprinkle on 4 and 5 because he's been ripping. But that's only if Gibbs-White is out and he's playing that attacking mid role because he's been loving it.
I took 2 bets, and I took Forrest and Chris Wood to score. I can't believe Chris Wood is plus 200.
That is shocking. At home against West Ham, who are not playing that well at all.
Insane.
I really, really like that.
You know what? I'll probably end up taking this bet later. Is Chris Wood 2 shots on goal too? Ooh. I didn't take that yet, but
what odds are you getting on that?
Oh, my computer just froze.
Classic.
You got to love it. You got to love it.
That's fun. I mean, Chris Wood is playing really well right now. I think he's now had like 5 seasons in a row of scoring 10 or more goals in the Premier League. And someone tweeted out, "You're now a certified Barclays man, Chris Wood," and he is. That's a proper out and out striker right there. Yeah. None of this newfangled, target, like false 9 kind of stuff. This man is a proper target man.
Yeah, he is.
Just whip it into the big boy.
7 goals on the season, which is sick.
I know. He's been I'm really annoyed as well because my friends have him in Fantasy Premier League, and it's just so hard to catch up with them because he's like 5.5 million or so. He's so cheap, and he's just keeps delivering. And at this point, it's kind of too late for me to put him in, so it's a bummer. But that game should be fun. Wolves Palace as well. And here's what's hilarious. My concern is, do Palace score on the road here? Because Palace have not been brilliant away from home. That being said, Wolves don't keep clean sheets, so I feel like they gotta find a goal here.
You
would hope so.
Is Eze gonna play?
He should do. I don't know why he came off early in the League Cup game. I didn't see, but
nipped. But I didn't even actually wait. I didn't even see his name come up in injury stuff. Let me see. I checked that this morning.
Yeah, I mean, he subbed off. It was hilarious. He scored a goal and then subbed off like 5 minutes later. He was done by like the 15th minute, but already scored the goal.
Yeah.
And so, that was good for people that had him in fantasy, which I do. But I'm assuming it was just precautionary.
Yeah, even what's his name said, we don't know exactly. They don't know what his problem is. I think he just didn't want to play anymore.
I mean,
it's probably hamstring.
What is he, Anthony Richardson? That's wild. Well, I hope he's fit. I hope he's fit. If Eze doesn't play for Palace, then just ignore everything I said. I'm not trusting Palace to do anything. And then I'll probably just take Ait-Nouri props again or Cunha because he's also a beast.
Yeah. So Cunha's in my to score or assist parlay.
Nice. I like that. He's always a good candidate for it. It always helps to get someone who takes pens, but also who's so integral to the attack in general from a passing standpoint as well.
Yep.
Hard to say no. What price did you get on Cunha to score or assist?
I think it was even money around there. I know that FanDuel's odds have been so much better. I'm going to just exclusively go to FanDuel. It used to be the inverse where to score assist on Prop Builder was always better. It's plus 140 on FanDuel.
Wow. And also just the way that FanDuel grades assists, I always think unless you can get like over double the odds elsewhere, I would always take the possibility of it being, graded via a FanDuel assist. It's less advantageous if you're betting on the penalty taker. Well, I guess not necessarily, because you can get an assist on FanDuel if the guy that gets fouled on the penalty, then the guy scores the penalty. But if you're the penalty taker, you're not going to get the assist because you're the one taking it. But then at that point, you have a penalty, just score the penalty. So you're not really losing a chance, but you can still get it via a rebounded shot on target. If Cunha takes a shot, it gets saved, and then someone scores a rebound. That's an assist in FanDuel's eyes as well. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how, but apparently that's fair game. So I would always take it on FanDuel if possible, because just the way that they grade is so much better.
Yeah, wait. God, I didn't even realize these prices are so much better.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I just wish they still had first half shots, but I can't keep going on about that. But so that should be fun. I think it's a good spot for Wolves, especially if Eze is out. But, Wolves are going to see this as a game that they can try and get at least a point out of, especially at home.
Yeah.
But we will see how that one goes. The other game on Saturday I wanted to talk about, mostly because I think it's going to create value elsewhere, is Bournemouth against Man City. Now, City have a lot of injuries. And Pep Guardiola just said that apparently they only have something like 13 outfield players actually healthy and ready to go. Now, that is going to create value but it all really depends on how they set up. But my guess is Matheus Nunes still gets the start, and he gets it, I would love, at left mid. And if that's the case, then I love Nunes shots. His line is typically always plus money. I think it was just now in the League Cup against Spurs, he was something like plus 170 or plus 180 to take 2 shots. And if you ever watch this man play in the Champions League, because Pep doesn't really consider him like an A-tier guy, which, wild, by the way, a side tangent to shit on City, absolutely insane that they get away with spending huge money on these players and no one ever calls them out for being flops. Like 100 million on Grealish, no one says shit.
No one does, you're right.
Like 50 million for Nunes, no one says shit. Something like 50 million for Calvin Phillips, no one says shit about.
No, wait.
People do finally say stuff about Calvin Phillips, but
no, they dogged Phillips, but they never dogged City.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very good distinction. They shit on Calvin Phillips, but no one ever gives City shit for spending the money that they did spend on him. So that's all. That pisses me off. And then meanwhile, Arsenal gets scrutinized for spending 70 million on Pepe when he still had a brilliant goals and assist output. It was just at the time he was our most expensive signing. So of course there was a spotlight on him, but he's got compare him to Antony at Man U, for example, 100 million and had one goal and 1 assist in the league in the entire league season last year. Something ridiculous like that. I mean, not to keep making this about Arsenal, but my point is Nunes is not this A-tier guy for City. And typically Pep wheels him out for the League Cup and he wheels him out for the Champions League games where they're playing against completely awful teams from random parts of Europe, like Bratislava that they played a week or 2 ago.
Yeah.
And whenever he plays in those games, he typically takes loads of shots. So if he does get the start against Bournemouth, yes, City are on the road, but it's still Man City. Yeah. And Bournemouth are not what I would say defensively, structurally sound, So if Nunes starts, even if Nunes is playing centre mid, I still like him to take 2 shots. But if he's playing on that left mid side where Dogu would be playing or Grealish would be playing, I love it even more.
It's just so confusing too, because Doku's probably not playing. Grealish
no, Doku's questionable. Savio's probably not playing. Yeah. I think Bernardo Silva is fit. I didn't see anything about him.
Yep, he's fit.
So my guess is they've got Haaland, obviously. They've got Foden. They've got Silva. They've got Nunes. I think they have Gundogan. And I think they have Kovacic. So that's their midfield right there. Yeah, that's basically it. And then their back line. Even the back line, I think Gvardiol's hurt and Akanji's hurt. So
and Walker. I had the whole list. It's a lot.
Yeah, they have. I mean, I could go through. I mean, obviously Rodri, De Bruyne, but yeah, they have a lot of people out, which is just wild. So I guess it's there will be value in this game. It just really depends on what the lineup is. So we'll keep an eye out for the lineup, and then hopefully just try and snipe some value before the prices shift.
Yep, that's how you got to do it. I think I'm on baby duty again too this weekend, so I'm gonna be That's when I do the best in line shopping because I'm not like out and about. I have to be
You're up early.
up early. Where me and the baby are hanging out. Nap
Nice.
time, I get a little reprieve, but I'm on that phone, bro. I get those lineup alerts. You better believe I ain't doing nothing but on that phone and watching the baby.
Love that. Love that. And then we've got some good games on Sunday as well. We have Spurs against Villa, and we have, I think, probably the one that's going to interest most casual viewers is Man U against Chelsea. Spurs Villa is one of those games that feels like it could be really fun. But I said that when Man U played Villa and it ended up being a just a really boring game. And I'm kind of concerned that that's how this is going to play out. That being said, Mickey van der Ven just got hurt for Spurs in the League Cup. And I don't think we know exactly how serious it is, but I did hear rumors he might have tweaked his hamstring. If that's the case, there's a good chance he's not playing in this game against Aston Villa. If that's the case, that means someone like Dragusin or Ben Davies is going to come in, I think. Or did Spurs get rid of Ben Davies in the end? I don't remember. Maybe they did. But it's probably Dragusin if we're being real.
Yeah. I just think that match might fall flat because of how much football both those 11s have played.
Yeah.
Villa's way more thin than Tottenham, but Tottenham's still pretty thin too. Like they've played a lot of ball.
Yeah, but Villa deceptively have a decent squad. They made some really good signings over the summer. They brought in Ross Barkley. They have Philogene that came from Hull. So they've got some decent players that they can just roll out in the attack, and also they've now got, arguably the greatest super sub in the entire world right now. They've got, and it's tough when you want to bet on Ollie Watkins because you always know there's a chance that Ollie could get yanked. That being said, it could be more recently they've been subbing off Morgan Rogers, who plays as the 10 right behind Ollie, so then they can switch to a 4-4-2 rather than a 4-4-1-1 and play with Duran and Ollie up front, which I think is really enjoyable. But, so Villa have a decent squad. And, I'm not going to say Spurs are bad because that would just be my Arsenal bias showing. But they are in a potential, they're weak right now. And that's even after, I said that after they beat City, but, that was the League Cup. So who cares about that? Keep an eye on Kulusevski. Kulusevski is one of my favorite players in the league right now. He's really, really interesting.
Dude, who's he getting recruited by now, bro? Like another freaking
Pep
team. Oh, that's what it was?
Yeah. Someone asked Pep what he thought of Kulusevski, and Pep was like, I like everything about him. God. And Kulusevski is, he was originally a right winger, and doesn't he still technically belong to Juventus? Is he a Juventus guy?
Who, Kulu? I think we sold him officially.
So, because I remember, I forget the specifics of the deal, but I remember at the time, it was a 1.5-year long loan, which is a ridiculously long time to loan someone out. So I don't know if he's still on that original loan or if the deal ended up being permanent, but either way, I'm not really sure who he belongs to. But, obviously he started as a right winger and now he's playing in that.
He's officially Tottenham now.
He's officially Tottenham. Okay, that's good. And he was a right winger, and now he's sort of moved into this more advanced 8 role in the middle of midfield next, alongside Maddison, because Spurs play with 3 attackers up front and then with basically 2 attacking mids and only 1 holding mid, which incredibly chaotic setup, by the way. That is, they don't care about defending whatsoever, but it is a really, really interesting role for Kulusevski. And as much as I hate to admit it, he's now the perfect kind of player that would fit into Pep's starting lineup because Pep loves those advanced 8s. Like everyone, he's got on record and said we don't play with 10s, we play with advanced 8s. And it's just like, De Bruyne's a 10, Pep. Like just call him what he is. De Bruyne is a 10, but he does, he plays with those 2 center mids in like the middle of the park, with the wingers out wide, and then like obviously the lone striker up front. So Kulusevski would fit perfectly. He's that kind of like that Bernardo Silva, that I'm not going to go as far as to call him a De Bruyne kind of player, but I would say Bernardo Silva is a very good comparison. So I wouldn't be surprised if Pep looks, if Pep tries and scouts him, probably not in January because I don't think Spurs would sell him in January, but maybe over the summer I could see that happening.
It's just insane, like how Juventus misused him. Freaking who was our manager at that time? It was Man, I can't even remember who our manager was.
Was it Allegri or was it one before Allegri?
No, it was Sorry, I believe at that time.
Oh yeah, that's a throwback.
Wow, that was long time ago. 2020. Yeah,
Damn.
Sorry. I think it was Sorry. Then we fired. No. 2020 must have been that experiment with Pirlo.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. I don't really know how I'm going to attack that game just because, again, I feel like I say this all the time, but it really depends on starting lineups. But this, on paper, it feels like it could be a lot of fun. I'm not saying it's not going to be, but it definitely gives off those vibes of that Man U Villa game on a Sunday that I thought was going to be really enjoyable, and then it simply was not. That being said, this Man U game against Chelsea, this I think will be a lot of fun because Chelsea are going to be playing with their full, lineup. They've been playing with their A and their B teams, but this is definitely an A team lineup because it's back in the Prem. Why they didn't care about the League Cup, I don't know. But hey, whatever floats your boat, you've been knocked out of it now, Chelsea.
Because they want to get back in Champions League.
Yeah. And Man U, just played a brilliant game. Was it against Leicester? Yes. But you know what? What was it? 5-2 at the end of the day?
5-2.
That's a very good result. And Brad, you can attest to this. I texted you and I said, for a fact, because I can't bet on these games, that Garnacho is going to have himself an absolute day. He always does whenever I can't bet on him. And what happened? The first 2 goals, Garnacho assist, Garnacho goal. Predictable. So predictable.
He balled.
So I don't know if we know for sure if the new guy is ready to. I think I saw today, or I guess I saw the deal confirmed, but I don't think I've seen the club announce it. So I'm not sure if he's going to be there to take charge on Sunday.
No, he's not. Right? He's not going to take charge until after their next Champions League match, I believe. Sporting.
Okay.
Next Champions League match.
Yeah, not Man U, that's for sure.
You heard me. I had to correct the Man U fans. Are like, wait, when we're in Champions League? When are we in Champions League?
Yeah, not till next year at the earliest, guys, and you still got to work a lot for that. So we'll see.
A lot. I still think they're going to go under their total. That was my favorite futures bet that I've ever given out in my entire life.
What was the future?
Under 64.5 points.
Ooh, that's so interesting. I forgot that you can do that. I never get markets as fun as that.
Yeah, so it won't be until their next. I think he's leaving after November 10th.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that makes sense. But they just played, they just scored 5 goals under Ruud van Nistelrooy as interim manager. So, and, I think the players are very well aware of the fact that they are playing right now to impress. The new guy is going to be watching. So, they're playing for a spot right now. So you've got a fired up Man U team at home playing against a Chelsea side that, is playing very well. Is it mostly Cole Palmer? Yeah, but you know what? Credit to Nicholas Jackson. He's having a good season as well. I think this game has goals.
Yeah.
Should be a fun one.
A ton of goals. Chelsea's team total is minus 115, right? United are going to score at least once.
You would hope so. You would really hope so.
Really fun.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. Any other games in the Premier League that you want to talk about, Brad?
I'm going back to Facundo Buonanotte in the Ipswich Leicester City match.
Ooh,
and
nice.
The price is plus 150. It was plus 188. So you lose a little bit, or plus 166 is now it was plus 188 down to plus 166. But if you want to take the safe bet and you don't want to take that number, you could take Liam Delap. He's over 2.5 shots is minus 130. But I'm not playing safe. Screw that.
Fair enough. Can't argue with that. Now, I actually don't have a La Liga game to talk about. I was going to talk about Valencia against Madrid, but that game has now been postponed. There have been very significant floods in the Valencia region, so that game has been cancelled. I think the Villarreal game has been postponed as well. So those games aren't being played, and I didn't really like any of the other games. That being said, what I was going to say about the Madrid game will apply later on when we talk about the Champions League. As I mentioned at the start of this video, it's been a rough week for Madrid, the club, and Madrid, the fans. Probably hasn't been rough for anyone worse than Vini Jr. So, what I was going to say for this Valencia game, and I'm kind of bummed because Valencia are a good target, I'm just saying, ladder the absolute living shit out of Vini goals because this motherfucker's not going to be passing the ball now. He's not going to be passing the ball now.
Goal shots.
And he's had back-to-back games against Valencia with braces. So I was going to ladder that. But that being said, Madrid prices in La Liga are usually booty. And honestly, the odds probably would have sucked for this game because I think everyone probably had the same idea. That being said, and I'll bring this up when we talk about Champions League, but their next game is now against AC Milan. And they're playing at home rather than away, which I think is even better. So Vini Jr., goal ladder against AC Milan at home in the Champions League. He has missed a Champions League, just scored a hat-trick in the second half of a Champions League game. This is the Vini game. We ladder his shots, we ladder his goals. Enough said.
It's going to be nuts.
Oh, yeah. I am looking forward to it. He is, and also take his yellow card. He's gonna push someone over.
Yep. Or go nuts when he scores a hat trick.
Oh yeah, 100%. If he didn't take his shirt off for the celebration, then he'll get mad and he'll push someone for sure. But outside of that, I didn't really have any other games in La Liga to talk about. Did you?
No, I didn't.
Fair enough. All right. Well, good. Now I can say we can kick that league in the bin. No one wants to talk about it. It's incredibly slow and it's been letting me down recently. That being said, maybe it was just a bad bet. Maybe as much as we love to complain about the league, Brad, maybe I'm a little guilty of what I've been shitting on other people. And I got to stop blaming the league and start blaming myself for betting on this terrible league. So, yeah. But enough about that. It happens. So we'll move on to Germany. We have some really nice matches in the Bundesliga. We have Leverkusen against Stuttgart, and we have what I think is probably going to be the best one on the weekend, Dortmund against Leipzig. Again, I think it's pretty clear where I'm going to go for both of these games. If you can get any bettable number on both teams to score over 2.5, take it. These games will have goals. Leverkusen cannot keep clean sheets, and Stuttgart have done a really good job at replacing Guirassi's goal output with Dennis Undav, who's having an absolutely ridiculous season right now.
Oh, my God.
And Dortmund-Leipzig is typically always a banger.
Yeah. Both teams score. Undav, 1 goal, 2 shots on top. Guirassy, goal. Like, it's a predictable banger.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Give me I'm hoping they have assist props because the Bundesliga is kind of inconsistent with what gets offered on FanDuel, but Florian Wirtz to score or assist, Karim Adeyemi to score or assist, Undav goal, and who scores for Leipzig? I still think Sesko is an absolute baller. I think Openda might have more assists than he has goals.
I think he does because Sesko's been scoring a ton too. So
yeah. Oh, I hope Arsenal decide to sign a striker next summer. I mean, we don't have to. We have Kai Havertz, but God, if we can, I just hope that this sporting manager going to Man U doesn't mean that Man U end up signing Gyökeres, because if they do, that'll just piss me off. Like, you just signed Højlund and Xerxes. You don't need a third striker from Europe, guys. You don't need 3 strikers on the books. So,
well, no, they're not following him. He's not following him. He came out and said he was pissed that he left because he had a chance to leave over the summer, but stayed with the coach. Yeah. He's not leaving.
Gotcha. All right. Well,
at least he's not going with him, is what I mean.
Okay. Well, hopefully Arsenal can sign him because I love him. It's so crazy to think that Gyökeres was playing in the Championship for Coventry like 2 seasons ago. Like,
dude, so crazy.
Why couldn't Arsenal sign him then? You know, like, I knew who he was. Why can't we get him for 25-30 million then before he goes to Sporting and starts just balling out and getting like 2 goals and an assist every week? Now it's probably worth like 70-80 million minimum. So, God, who knows?
I remember you saying like, you're like, I hope he doesn't go, and I was like, I have to look this up, like, see what the chatter's been. Yeah, and he said that. I was like, or he didn't say it, but there's rumblings from his camp.
We love a good Twitter rumbling.
Yeah.
But outside of that, no other games in the Bundesliga I wanted to talk about. Let's hop over to the Serie A, and this game should be close to your heart, Brad. Udinese against Juve. Now, Juventus are away from home and also have been weirdly shit recently. What's the vibe? As a Juventus fan, what's the vibe for this game? Considering that Udinese do love to choke games, so, you don't know how this is going to go.
The vibe has been weird because we're scoring a ton of goals. Yildiz looks amazing. but we can't defend. Bremer's out, so we need Bremer back because he's like the rock of our back line.
Yeah.
I think people are just confused. Like, what this happened though with Sarri. Like when we were lockstep, we were defending great with Allegri. Then we bring Sarri and we're scoring a ton of goals, but conceding a ton of goals. I think it's just still some time. It's like I feel like I'm personally not betting Juventus again for like the next like 2 months, and I feel like a lot of people are doing that.
Mm-hmm. Can't argue with that. Should be an interesting one though.
Udinese been playing really good, but there's some like we talked about earlier. Like feels like there's always a card in their games, like always.
Yeah, and it gets so frustrating too because you want to exclude the data that you get from cards from your research because you're just kind of like, it's an anomaly. It's like Arsenal. It's like Arsenal having like a ridiculous amount of shots conceded if you look at the table. Because obviously we've now had 3 red cards and we just get absolutely battered with shots after that happens. So you want to be like, Arsenal are only conceding this many shots because of the red card. So you kind of want to exclude it from the data. But then you kind of have to be like, well, hang on, if they keep getting red cards and this keeps happening, should we include that in the data? Yeah. So it's a fun little dilemma. Because you don't want to be like, oh, Udinese, there's going to be a card in this game, and I want to bet assuming there's going to be a card in this game. But then you don't want to be like, let's just use all the data without the cards because there could be a card. So fun dilemma. Now you guys at home get a little insight into why this is not as easy as it might look. Not that it should look easy.
No, we make it look easy. That's what it is.
Yeah, you get to see the nice number at the bottom of my season that says over 100 units.
Yeah,
that looks very nice. But yeah, I didn't have any other Serie A games that I wanted to talk about. You're the Serie A whisperer, Brad. Anything on your end?
I'm actually today, Wednesday. What's today? Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, after Thursday, I'm not betting it for the rest of the week. It's been nice. It's been really tough. Serie A has been really tough.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and I think I might just stop betting La Liga and Serie A. I think that's just going to be good for my mental health.
It's literally like Serie A.
And probably my profit margins too.
Serie A is like midweek MLS.
Yeah, that's true. The MLS playoffs have been really disappointing, but now that we're going into the second round of games, because this first round of MLS playoffs is a best of 3 for some arbitrary reason, because they keep changing the MLS playoff format every 2 or 3 years. Why they do it, I don't know. That being said, I do like the fact that you're guaranteed a home game. I'm going to be at the NYCFC game against Cincinnati. So nice. Looking forward to that. But, once we get into the second round of games, exactly what's on the line because one team has an advantage. So that's when you can start being like, okay, that first game is going to be pretty dicey, pretty cagey. Second match should be a lot more open.
Right? Like, I think that new the home Asian Unit home format, the best out of 3 was like reason why Columbus lost that first game, because like Red Bulls were like, all right, we're going to fucking press the shit out of them. If it works for us, we steal this first game, we steal it.
Yeah. I watched money come in on Columbus. No, against the Columbus. They came in on the Red Bulls, and the Columbus money line the night before was -165, and it
had to
closed. It closed as short as -130, and I was so tempted to play it, but I ended up not playing it. I was going to, and I was just like, I knew Rossi was questionable, and I said, let me wait and see if Rossi is in. If it's in, I'll try and snipe the line. He wasn't, so I left it.
I did make some money back though after they conceded. I took their corner handicap was like +0.5, and I was like, oh, thank God. It was like a luckiest bet because they were so shit the whole night.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think they would be that shit, but they were.
They were like, I know they're a heavy possession team, but they were literally like just passing with no balls into the box.
Yeah,
I was like, you guys realize you're losing, right?
Well, I guess they said let's go and do it in New York. That's kind of bold, but I don't really respect the Red Bulls, and I'm not just saying that as an NYCFC fan. That's all I had to talk about for Serie A, and you got some bonus MLS content there too.
Yeah,
let's go to Ligue 1. Lille against Lyon. One of those games that's usually very entertaining.
Yeah, that game is. Those teams too have both been playing pretty. I don't know, pretty weird. Lille ahead of Champions League, right? They're in Champions League. Yeah. Ahead of their Champions League matches have been pretty gross, right? Like
Well, they beat Madrid.
No, I'm saying ahead of them, like the
Yeah.
games before it. Like they feel like they've been kind of prioritizing Champions League a lot more than I thought they would.
I mean, fair enough. You know, you got to respect that.
Yeah. No, I just was kind of surprised. And but then you have like Lyon who can't defend to save their lives.
Yeah.
So this one's a tough one. I think Lille scored twice. Maybe put a little bit on Mr. JD to score a goal.
Yeah. Or Shagrova is usually involved in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But Jonathan David's one of those guys that you can typically rely on. He always rocks up in that like random slate when you kind of forget that the French league is on, and then you check the game and you're like, oh look, Jonathan David scored again. Oh look, he's got a hat trick. Where did that come from?
Doing pretty good this season. Quietly good.
Yeah, it's Schrodinger's Jonathan David. He only scores when you're not aware about him.
Yep, exactly.
But as soon as you remember that he's playing, nothing, and he'll get subbed after an hour too, just to spite you.
Yep, you said it best. Like
one of those guys.
Experience.
He just needs to move to the Prem already. This guy's been linked to the Prem for like 8 years now. Like literally, it's like. I mean, he's one of those like OG Arsenal rumors. Like back in like 2014, we would get linked to Jonathan David. We would get linked to Higuain and Benzema. We got linked to Draxler. We got linked to Aouar, the centre mid. Like it was one of those OG Arsenal rumors that we just constantly got linked to every single summer. And it's just like Fabrizio Romano would tweet about this guy like every summer. It's just like, yo, we know his agent's trying to get a little move here. We know that. And he's still in Lille. Years later,
still there. Crazy.
It's very funny. But that being said, he does a really good job for him, and obviously he's now stepped up for the Canadian national team as well. So, fair play. If he's enjoying life over there, then can't argue with that. We also have the Champions League back, thank God, and there are some really interesting games coming up, which I am looking forward to immensely. Obviously, we just mentioned the Madrid against AC Milan game. If you can get a good price on Pulisic to score or assist, it's really hard to not take that. The guy is on absolute fire. And let's be honest, it's not like Madrid are particularly good at defending right now.
Yeah, he's been on fire. Madrid have actually been fucking horrible at defending. Not at all. Well,
funnily enough, that's what happens when you have a right winger in Lucas Vazquez playing right back. I've been saying it for weeks now. I mean, I've been saying it all season, but particularly about Lucas Vazquez ever since Carvajal got hurt. I've been like, this guy's not a right back. He's just a shit right winger that you moved into defense. And if anything exemplified that, they put the average positions of where each player was playing in the Clasico, and Jude Bellingham had a more defensive average position than Vazquez. So essentially, if you looked at the average position, Vazquez was essentially playing as a center mid, and Jude was playing as the right back. And it's just like, that's not by design. Very clearly, that's not by design. That's Jude getting his ass back, which he does really well, and having to cover for this goddamn attacker put into the right back spot, having to cover for him every time he's marauding up the pitch.
Yeah.
And he got absolutely cooked. Those long balls over the top to Rafinha and Lewandowski, he got cooked every single time. And I feel kind of vindicated because I tweeted out as soon as they said that Vazquez was definitely going to start against Barcelona, I was like, okay, brilliant. Take Rafinha props. Rafinha goal, Rafinha assist. Bada bang, bada boom. You couldn't ask for more than that.
No.
So we will see. We haven't got lines out for goal scorers or assist props, at least on FanDuel yet, which is annoying.
Either.
Yeah, well, the shot props always drop on like Sunday, I think, for Champions League because they drop on Wednesday for the upcoming weekend. But that game should be really entertaining, and I think the one that's going to be the most entertaining to a casual viewer for goals will be Liverpool against Leverkusen. That should be fun.
Leverkusen.
You can get both teams to score over 2.5 at -134, and that's just on FanDuel. I haven't shopped that around.
Don't even tempt me. I don't know what to think of this Liverpool team. They're so incredible.
Yeah, but here's the thing: do we think they'll keep a clean sheet against Leverkusen?
Not a chance.
I agree,
but I don't know if I want to go. Like it could end 1-1, and I'd be pissed as hell.
It could be, but I have a feeling that someone in this game would find a second goal.
We should talk about this: Manchester City being -135 against Sporting.
Are they playing away from home?
They're playing away from home, but it doesn't matter. City always suffocate Sporting.
Yeah, you're right, actually. That is a good point.
Wait, let's just put this in perspective. Against a Premier League side, we'd imagine if Sporting were in the Premier League, where would they finish on the table?
Europa League spot.
Europa League spot, right? Like maybe
five,
7.
6, 7, I would put them
Yeah.
in. Somewhere in that region.
City against any of those, against anybody in 6 through, let's go 6 through 10, they're going to be favored by at least 150.
Yeah, I agree.
So getting better value against a team I just think the value is really nice.
Yeah, I guess we also have to consider who might be available, or I guess
You have to wait. You 100% have to wait till after their weekend for sure.
Yeah, we will see. That being said, Sporting. I mean, both these teams are playing very well. Like, let's not write. I'm not going to
No.
I'm not going to say Sporting are as good as City, but they are in the top 8. They're in the automatic qualifications.
They're playing really well.
They haven't lost yet, and City haven't lost yet. So
this is an interview for Jokeris or whatever for Vic.
Yeah,
because he scores on City. Like, that dude's gonna be getting 100 million bag.
Yeah, no, for sure. We'll see. That being said, it's one of those things where you see Man City at like -130, -140 just to win a game. You never see that unless they're playing. Arsenal, you get them at plus money, or Madrid, but Sporting, I don't put them in the same bucket as Arsenal or Madrid, and I probably shouldn't say that because I'm pretty sure they're the ones that knocked us out of the Europa League a couple of seasons ago. But we don't talk about that. It's a different Arsenal side, completely different Arsenal side. But yeah,
very different Arsenal.
Can't argue with that. That's a really nice price on City to win, even though it is away from home. City have been an absolute wagon in the Champions League. Really hard to ignore that.
You absolutely need to see the lineups.
Yeah, for sure. And then the other game I want to talk about, Inter Milan against Arsenal. Now, I'm going to say this, low scoring game. Under 2.5, -138. That's on FanDuel. Haven't shopped that around yet. That's a good number. Also, somehow, Arsenal are slightly favored. I say slightly because their money line is +165. Inter's is +170. So it is pretty damn close to being fairly even. But you can get Inter, tie no bet, at home against an Arsenal side that is struggling to create chances at -106. That is really difficult to pass up.
Very. I couldn't believe it.
That is that's a really nice price. And, I'm not even saying that as like an emotional hedge. Arsenal have struggled on the road in Champions League, at least. The fact that we finished 0-0 against Atalanta, that was kind of disappointing. I'll take it because obviously we've had injuries, but we probably should be scoring a goal there. If Como could score 3 in Atalanta's home stadium, what are we doing here? Why is our game 0-0? Or you can take under 3.5 and Inter double chance. That's -122. Or if you don't want to fuck around with the under after seeing that game against Juve, just take the Tino bet. Inter are at home. The odds of them losing to Arsenal in their own stadium, and that's, again, assuming Arsenal don't have Odegaard, but even if they do have Odegaard, that's a ridiculous price on Inter at home. And I just feel, and I say this as an Arsenal fan, that feels very disrespectful to Inter Milan. So I think that's a really nice price, and I haven't even shopped that around yet. So we'll see what it might be elsewhere.
I'm down. I can party with it.
I think it's really hard to pass up a line like that.
Yeah, it's like I even like the under, but I was like, I don't think I'm gonna bet totals for a while. I've been getting toasted in my totals.
Yeah, I feel that.
Also, scoring has been up in soccer recently, so
fair enough. Any other Champions League games that you find interesting, Brad?
No, we talked about them. I'm excited.
Nice. Alrighty. Well, I think that covers us, but that's a pretty good extensive review. We talked a lot about the Prem. We even got some detailed discussion on the Champions League, which is always nice. Not much going on in the other leagues, but I think we've covered the slate, and I think we've been pretty efficient about it, Brad.
We did pretty freaking good.
I think we talked about a lot of games there. We covered a lot of content, and I didn't even get bogged down by a rant this time, which is always nice. Isn't it amazing? Amazing how we stay on track when I'm not upset about stuff.
We just need Arsenal not to have anyone sent off for the next episode.
Yeah, exactly. That's all, that's all it takes. Or for, some ridiculously inconsistent decision. Let's just, all we need is good officiating, good refereeing, and I'm a happy boy.
Yep.
So until that happens again, we might just stay on track and stay focused.
Oh yeah.
Anything you want to plug, Brad? Anything you want to plug, Brad, before we say goodbye?
Yeah, follow me on X at MrBradThomas.
Lovely. Any power rankings?
No, I'm man, I think the power rankings gonna have to go to the wayside. We just started NBA now, so might as well check out NBC.com for my NBA bets. There'll be, I think, my first article I'm doing today or tomorrow, maybe tomorrow.
Nice. I've been getting involved in some NBA action as well. People get surprised when they realize I also know about the NBA. That being said, I do like the majority of my NBA action is just betting on the Celtics because that's what I specialize in. That's my team. Yeah. And in case you've somehow not been aware of it, Peyton motherfucking Pritchard is an absolute wagon. That's my boy. And I'm just saying, I've been on this guy since like 2022. So it's nice to see my guy get some moments in the spotlight. That being said, I am kind of pissed because I can't get player awards in New York State. And this was one of those ones where I wish I had just taken it when I was in Jersey, and I didn't. But I was like half joking, half serious, throwing out Peyton Pritchard Sick Ben of the Year shouts because I wanted it. I took it last year. I put like $10 on it. It was like plus 5,000 or something like that. And because I'd seen him, I'd seen him in preseason. He was playing really, really well in preseason. I was just like, I wonder if his role gets increased last season. He played well off the bench, but he didn't really see like a massive, he's not seeing minutes that like a sixth man of the year should get. But as a Celtics fan, I enjoyed betting on him, especially his assists. This season, he had a brilliant preseason, and his odds for sixth man of the year were plus 6,000. And I was just like, there's no way his chances of winning this award have gone down.
That's insane.
No way. And I was just like, I could be worth putting $10 in this. And then the season, it got round. The season was about to start, and of course, the Celtics were the first game. And I was just like, I don't really want to go to Jersey to put money on this. And then the market closes, obviously, once it starts. And now he's the second favorite at plus 800 because he's been shooting out of his goddamn mind.
Dude,
so
wetting it
up.
It's funny that you said that, though. Hold on, let me tell you this. It's funny you said that, though, because I was watching you guys. Yesterday you played the Pacers or whatever? Whenever you guys played the Pacers. And I saw someone bury it from half court. I think it was Derek White. I was like, Peyton Pritchard did it again. I just automatically assumed.
Yeah, he's good. I'm telling you, any guy that you want to take a three from anywhere on the court when the buzz is about to go, get it into Peyton Pritchard's hands. He's unreal. I love it. I love it so much. He was an assist guy last season. He's a shooter. He turned into a volume 3 shooter this season, and he's pretty damn good at it. So can't argue with that. But yeah, that's the extent of your NBA Brit analysis. Now putting my FIFA Brit hat back on. Like I said earlier, you can follow me on Twitter at FIFA Brit. If you haven't signed up for the Gold Boys Discord, it's a brilliant time to do it. Baseball just ended. Sorry, not sorry, Yankees fans. You were pathetic and embarrassing. Time to go home and cry. Congratulations to the Dodgers on winning the World Series. Brilliant underdog story. Got to applaud the efforts by the Dodgers. Well done. You guys really struggled there, so well done to you guys as well. Baseball is over, but basketball is back. NFL is in full swing, and obviously, in case you didn't know, soccer is doing really well as well. So it's a brilliant time to sign up, and you can join the Discord at goldboys.com. Thank you to the Gold Boys Network for continuing to host this podcast and let us rant and talk about all sorts of bullshit all day long, and it's lots of fun. So yeah. Absolutely. And if you're not following the podcast, drop a follow wherever you listen to your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or some other website that I may not be familiar with. Drop us a follow. And if you're feeling particularly generous, we'll take a 5-star review. If you're feeling really nice about it, that'd be really appreciated. We love 5-star reviews. But yeah, Brad, lovely to catch up with you. Best of luck with all of your bets this weekend. It should be a really enjoyable one. We've got a lot of good games going on. So fingers crossed, all the bets hit. We get lots of nice action, enjoyable games to watch. And to everyone at home, Thank you for tuning in. Best of luck with all your bets as well. And we will catch you guys next week. Peace out.